He got 2 wins already in this GSTL match. To the bottom left of Whirlwind, we have the Protoss player for the StarTale team.
StarTale, Avenge.
Strong play against DRG and a non-nonsense strategy against Keen, taking 2 wins right off the bat for Team StarTale. Up against his 3rd opponent today. To the top right, we have the 2nd Zerg coming out for Team MVP. It is
MVP Naxor.
formerly known as Monster.
Yeah, he's still hiding under your bed.
Hiding under your bed, and he is the nightmare of MC in particular. A lot of history between the 2 of them.
Very true.
Naxor is kind of MC's kryptonite.
Absolutely so. Well, we're at cross positions, which is something that Naxor could be pretty happy about.
Starting here with the hatch first. Yeah, the probe will just be too late. But he's scouting now, and we don't have a forge just yet. Doesn't really look like we are going to see cannoning going on for him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's too late. 2 drones, 3 drones coming out immediately just in case. No chances here for Monster. He's definitely not going to roll over and die to a cannon push.
So some people might actually think that this is a little bit overkill what Naxor is currently doing with the 3 probes or drones. What you have to realize here is that so far Naxor has no idea what Avenge is doing. He didn't see his space. He doesn't know, is there Forge first play? Do you play Gateway? Do you start with a Nexus? Which is the case here. So what he wants to do is attack this probe as fast as possible to make sure that there is no way for Avenge to get cannons up to take down the base of Naxor. That's also why we have those 2 drones patrolling behind the mineral patches. He is taking every precaution in the book.
Yeah, I really like it because we've seen so many players try to go hatch first and die. And this is not going to happen here.
He's losing mining time, of course, and this is the one thing that Avenge can achieve with this probe that he has at the top right now. But at least Naxor will not die to cannoning. That is definitely true.
Just a little bit of harassment here, but he will just return minerals and go back. And even some more harassment with that probe. The first few lings are going to come out as well as the queen, so he's going to want to go and hide it near the 3rd base so we can check for that.
Yeah. And it's also very well worth it. Even if you lose the mining time, getting the hatch up earlier gives you more production, you get the queens out earlier, you have 2 mineral lines that you can harvest from, which gives you the superior income. So it's definitely a situation where you're willing to trade a little bit of mining time in order to get it out.
Yeah, definitely worth it, 100%. Those 2 lings are going to actually keep this probe from seeing the 3rd base. Well, he sees the drone though, but he's not going to start the hatchery probably in front of the probe. Well, he's comfortable with that. You know, you don't have to hide the 3rd hatchery. It's just your choice. Probe goes down.
Yeah, probe goes down, and we have the 3rd base now coming up for Avenge. Sorry, for Naxor. Avenge has been scouted so far, so this is a situation where Naxor decides to play a more traditional style, not going into the fast attack and delaying his 3rd base. He is confident that he will be able to hold a 3rd against his opponent's pressure play, but Avenge has started with a Forge. We didn't see the gateway play that he chose to use against Dongwagu.
Yeah. He sneaks a probe out, a 2nd one, as soon as his 1st one dies, just to confirm 100% there's still a 2nd hatchery there. And he will be able to see that because there's no overlords or lings to spot him on his way back, so he's going to be able to confirm that. Yamal starts a Stalker.
Really curious to see what strategy Naxor is going to choose. A strategy that is very popular on a map like Whirlwind is the fast upgrades into Ultralisks and Queens later on. I don't really think he's going to use it. You can go down so many different paths on a map like Whirlwind as a Zerg player, especially with cross position. It's going to be really exciting to see what Naxor tries against Avenge, because Avenge has proven to be a very solid player. Good performance in the last 2 matches, but also in Code A. So what does Naxor have up his sleeve? It's definitely a build that he thought about and talked about with his teammates. It's not something that he plays on a whim here.
Oh, absolutely not. I think you're right. On this map, Ultralis with Vipers and just fast high tech with Lings is really the most common strategy.
He will have to defend first of all. I don't think he will have a choice here. There are a lot of gateways already being built, and it doesn't look like the Overlord will scout them all.
No, I think he's just going to see like 2 or 3 of them.
He saw 2.
2, and that's pretty normal actually, so he's not going to believe. Oh, it's going up into 7 gateways with +1.
That is going to be really, really difficult to hold off. But you know, I actually think that he will at least assume that there's a bit more than only those 2 gateways. What I really would like to see is a Burrow upgrade.
Yes. You know, he has the Roach Warren on the way, so he's not going to be like totally shut down by this necessarily, but the burrow upgrade would help him so much against this.
I feel if we had already the changes implemented where the burrow upgrade is only half the minerals and the gas, he would immediately go for it. But it's still quite a bit. Dedicating 100 gas this early in the game to an upgrade, that's something that you try to avoid if possible. And he doesn't really know what he's up against, but it would help him so much. And it's already available at hashtag now. You don't need to go into Lair since Heart of the Swarm to get the upgrade.
Yeah. You know, you're so right. If he spends 100 and it's not an attack that comes that's 100 he could have been spending on something else like Roach Speed. Here comes the first few Stalkers, and he's starting to realize what's happening. He starts only Roaches at this point in time, but +1 is getting closer to being done.
It might already be too late, Wolf. This is really going to be difficult. There are no Spine Crawlers. He's really trying to get the production out, but if he loses the Queens, he can't get the injects anymore.
Oh,
the Mothership Core,
though, what?
That was a huge mistake by Avenge. That should not have happened. But he still has the Stalker numbers, and now also the sentries are coming in. He can force field, and he force fields the Queen beautifully.
Transfuse goes down, though, and he's able to pick off both sentries.
But we already have the drones being pulled for Naxo, and this is the problem that we talked about earlier. Once you lose your Queens, you can't inject anymore. You will have a problem with your production.
Yeah, problem with the production. Indeed, the Stalker's just barely surviving. The Lings here, there's not enough production. There's not enough Zerlies out here.
Lings are very lava heavy, and we have the +1 currently for the Zealots, so as long as he relies on Lings, we have more and more Zealots being warped in for Avenge.
Yeah, he's actually just not quite able to hold this off, though. The last few Lings are actually doing a pretty big number on him. +1 just now finishing for him. He has a lot of warp in, though.
90 supply for Naxo, 56 currently for Avenge, but the StarTale play is not done just yet, trying to take a good position behind the mineral patches. More and more Roaches now coming into play, but with another round of warp-ins, Avenge might just be able to push through.
It's really, really close here. Most of the supply difference in workers.
Look at the money that we have currently for Naxo. He just produced another round of units, but now he has to pull all the drones from the third base because he realizes that he doesn't have the lava.
Looks like he's done it.
I think so. He might just barely be able to hold this off, and Avenge is now transitioning. But that was a lot closer than it initially looked. That was a really big problem for Naxo, and him pulling the drones, usually it's a desperation move, but in this situation, it saved his ass.
Yeah, it really did, and I think he's won this game. He's got a Spire on the way, which is, of course, the perfect response here, knowing his opponent has literally no units. When that attack was over, he had 42 probes. And that's it. And now he's got 2 rounds of Stalkers here, but he has to kill his own pylons.
You know, think about what would have happened here. I mean, this attack, after Naxo crushed it, it really looks bad. But if you think about it, he lost the Mothership Core. He could have gone for a time warp in the big fight. And he also lost his sentries when he was trying to trap those Queens.
Yeah.
With the sentries on the high ground at the natural, he can force field the ramp. And he is also able to throw down a time warp. There was 2 mistakes that Avenge made that could have won him this game.
Yeah, if he didn't make those mistakes, he certainly could have won the game. Very likely. This attack is going to lose him the game, though. There's no way he can hold this. And, I mean, this is just the Lings and Roaches alone, not to mention the Muse that are coming after this.
There was definitely a problem in execution here. But now we are heading into the second phase of the game, where the Immortals will enter the stage to take down the Roaches of Naxo. But we have him going into the Spire, and if you look at the gas that he banked up, he can go into 10 Mutalisks once that he has the minerals.
Yeah, he's just going to trade here with his Roaches, try to keep the anti-air count low. And he's going to get this Nexus for sure.
Denying the third is so important for him now.
And if the Frost Army came over there, he would have just killed the Stalkers and said, you know what, I have more mutas than you can handle. And he's already going into 13 of those. Mothership Core re-emerges.
Yep. With the Mutalisks now, and we don't have Blink, one thing that could definitely happen here is Avenge holding with units in his base. But once you have to set up your Stalkers in the main base to defend against Mutalisks, you can't take that third base with the Zerg player has such a strong ground army to just attack it over and over again.
I think what we're going to see here is he's just going to go for a second all-in with, you know, the units he's warping in right now. He's getting a Warp Prism. He's going to lose his Mothership Core again. That's, you know, never ideal, but it's important that he scouts the mutas.
Here comes the Time Warp, and there's the Protoss army immediately being attacked. He has the Immortals, and of course, Naxo has to fall back, but more Mutalisks are being produced. He's getting additional Zerglings. He will be ready for this.
Yeah, he's just going to spend all of his gas on the Mutalisks and the rest of it on the Zerglings to help against the ground army. And even though he's up against +1, the Mutalisk count is just getting better and better, and there's not going to be enough Stalkers here. The Warp Prism isn't even across the map yet.
He's taking a 4th base already. He's getting Mutalisk after Mutalisk, and Avenge is looking at it. Avenge knows that this is not going to happen, but it's the only chance that he has. His third was denied, and here comes the Zerg. The Swarm is on the move. The Mutalisk picking up the Warp Prism. No more Warp-ins for Avenge.
Yeah, no more Warp-ins for Avenge. As Immortal's doing a decent job against the Roaches, but the Mutalisks are the real problem. The Lings surround the Stalkers, and that is going to be game.
The anti-air is gone, and this is going to be the GG. The Immortals are eliminated. GG, and game over. Avenge with a good run, taking down 2 players, but Monster is strong enough to stop his push, and now it's time for the second player of the StarTale team.
That was a really, really good defense that we saw. Obviously a lot of problems with the execution of Avenge, but Monster looking really good with his defense. I loved his patience and his ability to use the drones.
Yeah, I really like how he defended here, but it was also Avenge messing up a bit, losing the Mothership core that still had the time warp ready, and of course also the sentries that could have blocked the choke point. So in this situation, Avenge with a few mistakes, Monster capitalizing on it, doing a really good job, and MVP, they are back to business.
Yeah. No longer worried about having to send out their final player. Monster able to secure 1 win. Ideally, he needs to get 2, but they don't know who they're facing yet.
Yeah, right now, I mean, the second player for the StarTale team, they told me already earlier, but they might have changed the plan. It's the same matchup, so if Avenge would have lost the first game against DLG, it would have been a Zerg player. Now with him losing to Naxo, there is still a Zerg that has to be faced now, so they might stick to the original plan, and I think they will, but we might see a change in that strategy.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. I would love to see Curious come out, and you know, ZVZ is a matchup that's a little bit rough right now because it's kind of, well, it's very figured out, that's for sure, but there's still some volatility.
So the original idea of the StarTale team was, I mean, I can now say it, we might see a change in their strategy, but the original idea was once Avenge loses to send out Bomber. Bomber was the second player that was designed to go out against Dong Ragu if Avenge loses. So right now it's the same matchup. It's once again against Zerg. So Bomber might still be the player that StarTale relies on. But maybe they have changed it up now. After Avenge took already 2 games and tried to give another player, first of all, the exposure, and maybe another player finds himself in a position where he says, okay, if you give me, given the maps that are already eliminated, Bomber might not be as confident to go up against a Zerg player, and it's like, well, if you want to take it right now, that's fine. I would really like to see him, though. Yeah, I love to see Bomber play. He's doing so well in Codes these days, and I just love the guy. He has such a good work ethic, and that is something that has to be really respected in a player, I feel.
Yeah, it absolutely is the case, and I would love to see him come out as well. He's someone who has been around since the beginning. He was a StarCraft 1 player on Eastro, and now going into StarCraft 2, he's developed into being one of the best Terran players in the entire world. Nobody disputes that, and for them to have him specialized against Zerg means that there's still a good possibility they send him out here.
The thing about Bomber also is that he is a pillar of his team, but we might see a change in strategy here, and we do. It is Life.
Life coming out for the Zerg versus Zerg, not what I expected to see.
Yeah, it's an interesting one now. Life wants to play. I actually think that the reason, or one of the main reasons why Life wants to play here is that he is not really happy with how he performed in Codes. The idea was to send out Bomber if Avenge loses, and then Life would have had the chance to come out later in the game. But right now, with it already being so close, Life probably just said, you know what, I definitely want to play in this team match, so let me play right now, please.
I respect the choice. Life, somebody we don't have to talk about too much. You guys all know him. He's actually best when he comes out second. He's 8-1 overall in the GSTL. He's 14-7. Really strong player, ranked 9th overall in GSL points right now. And as you said, he was not able to get out of his Codes group, but he really wants to prove himself today here in the team league.
Yeah, and this is, I like that they changed their mind with the player choice, and I will talk about this after our 5-minute break. This is pretty brilliant by StarTale. I love how the dynamic in this match is currently working. So we are heading into a short break, and then we will start with our Zerg versus Zerg with Naxo up against Life at the GSTL with Color Wolf.
Just as valid.